Have you ever shared something deeply personal, only to regret it later? Have you ever opened up about your inner peace, your dreams, or even your struggles, only to find that the energy around you shifted in ways you didn't expect? What if I told you that some things, when spoken too soon or to the wrong people, can lose their power or even invite negativity into your life? Think about a time when you were truly at peace. Maybe you had just started meditating regularly, or you had let go of something that had been weighing you down. You were feeling calm, clear, and centered, but the moment you shared this newfound peace with someone, their response planted a seed of doubt. That's great, but do you really think it'll last? Or, I wish I could feel that way, but life is too complicated. Suddenly, your confidence in your peace begins to waver. Or perhaps you had a goal, something deeply important to you. You told others about it, expecting encouragement, but instead, you received skepticism. That sounds really ambitious. Are you sure you can do it? Their doubts, whether intentional or not, made you second-guess yourself. A goal that once felt achievable now feels uncertain. All because you spoke about it too soon. Why does this happen? Why do some things lose their strength when shared? Why do some thoughts, once spoken, seem to turn against us? Buddhism teaches that speech carries energy. It can shape reality, influence emotions, and even affect karma. Not everything is meant to be spoken. Not because it is a secret, but because it is sacred. The Buddha once said, "Silence is better than unmeaning words." In today's world, where oversharing is common, where people document their every thought and feeling on social media, few realize that some things are best kept within to protect their energy and peace. In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful things that should never be shared carelessly. These insights, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, will help you cultivate inner strength, clarity, and mindfulness in the way you communicate with the world. As we go through each of these 5 things, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever shared something only to regret it later? Have you noticed how words, yours or others, can influence your emotions, decisions, and even your destiny? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn might completely change the way you think about communication and personal energy. But before we begin, take a moment to support this channel by clicking the like button, sharing this video with those who might find it valuable, and subscribing to Buddhist Echoes for more content that helps you lead a mindful, peaceful life. Also, leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced a situation where sharing too much led to unexpected negativity? Your insights may help others on their journey as well. Now, let's dive into the 5 things you should never share carelessly, and why Buddhist wisdom teaches us to be mindful of our words. The Buddha once said, "Silence is better than unmeaning words." These words, though simple, hold a profound truth that is often overlooked in modern society. We live in an era where sharing everything is not only encouraged but expected. Social media, conversations, and even casual encounters often revolve around exchanging personal experiences, thoughts, emotions, and plans. Yet, if we look deeper, we realize that not everything should be shared. Some things are best kept within, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom. The essence of Buddhist teachings lies in self-awareness and mindfulness. Buddhism does not discourage communication, but it teaches right speech, samavaka, one of the core principles of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech does not merely mean speaking truthfully. It also means speaking wisely, with purpose, and at the right time. A key aspect of this wisdom is knowing what should not be spoken, what should be protected, preserved, and left unsaid for our own inner peace and well-being. The nature of the mind and karma plays a significant role in why certain things should not be shared. In Buddhism, karma, action and its consequences, is not just about what we do, but also about what we say and even what we think. Our words have energy. They shape our reality. When we speak carelessly, we set certain forces into motion, some beneficial, some harmful. Sometimes, speaking too soon about certain matters creates unnecessary obstacles, invites negative energy, or amplifies suffering. A wise Buddhist monk once said, "A calm lake reflects the world perfectly, but when disturbed, it loses clarity." Our inner world is like that lake. The more we expose our inner thoughts, emotions, and plans to external forces, the more we allow outside influences to disturb our clarity and peace. Just like ripples in water, the more we reveal, the harder it becomes to maintain stillness. Inner peace is one of the most delicate and valuable aspects of human experience. Yet it is also one of the most vulnerable. Unlike material possessions, which can be physically protected, or knowledge, which can be documented, inner peace exists entirely within the mind. It is something that must be cultivated with great care and preserved with deep awareness. While many believe that peace is something external, found through favorable circumstances, or in the approval of others, true peace is an internal state that arises from mindfulness, detachment, and wisdom. However, the moment we begin to expose our inner peace, by sharing our emotional experiences too freely, by discussing our spiritual realizations with others, or by seeking validation for our sense of calm, we invite external forces that can disturb it. The nature of the mind is such that it is highly impressionable. The more we expose it to external influences, the more vulnerable it becomes to being shaped by them. If we speak too much about our peace, we create an opportunity for others to impose their doubts, opinions, and judgments upon us. These external projections, even when well-intended, can cause internal disruptions. A simple statement such as, "I have been feeling so peaceful lately," may seem harmless, but it can lead to responses that plant seeds of uncertainty. "That's great, but do you think it will last?" Or, "I wish I could feel that way, but life is too complicated." Even these minor reactions can introduce unnecessary complexity into our experience of peace. There is a well-known teaching in Buddhism that likens the mind to a still lake. When undisturbed, the water reflects reality with perfect clarity. But when the surface is agitated, the reflection becomes distorted. Similarly, when we allow external opinions to affect our state of mind, our perception of reality becomes clouded. By keeping certain aspects of our inner world private, we preserve the stillness of that lake. This is not about secrecy, but about protecting what is sacred. The moment we allow external noise to enter, we risk losing the purity of our own experience. One of the reasons people often feel compelled to share their inner peace is the need for validation. There is a subtle but strong psychological desire to have others confirm what we feel, to hear that our experience is real and meaningful. However, this very act of seeking confirmation weakens our peace. The more we depend on external validation, the less stable our peace becomes. If our sense of calm is dependent on the approval of others, it is no longer true inner peace. It becomes something conditional, something that can be taken away as easily as it was given. There is a well-known story of a monk who had spent many years in meditation. Through his deep practice, he attained profound stillness and clarity. Feeling inspired, he decided to share his experience with those around him, believing they would celebrate his growth. But instead of encouragement, he received skepticism. Some dismissed his experience, saying that it was just a temporary illusion. Others questioned whether he was truly at peace, or simply suppressing emotions. Some even deliberately tried to provoke him to see if his peace was genuine. This experience taught the monk an invaluable lesson. Inner peace is not something to be explained or justified to others, it is something to be lived and protected. This is a lesson that applies to all of us. When we share our feelings of peace too openly, we invite a wide range of responses, some supportive, some doubtful, and some even envious. This can lead to unnecessary internal conflict. A person who was previously confident in their peace may begin to question it simply because of another person's reaction. The very act of externalizing an internal state makes it susceptible to change. The Buddhist concept of detachment, vairagya, offers a powerful perspective on this. Detachment does not mean emotional numbness or isolation, it means having the wisdom to recognize that our inner state should not be controlled by external circumstances or opinions. True detachment allows us to experience peace without needing others to recognize or validate it. A person who is truly at peace does not need to announce it, nor do they need others to confirm it. They simply live in it, allowing their presence and actions to reflect that peace rather than their words. There is a common misunderstanding that detachment means avoiding human connection, but this is not the case. Buddhism does not teach avoidance, but rather discernment. Discernment means knowing when to share and when to remain silent, understanding that some things lose their purity when exposed to the wrong environment. A flower, for example, does not bloom in just any soil. It requires the right conditions to flourish. Similarly, inner peace requires the right conditions to be maintained. And one of those conditions is discretion. Another important teaching in Buddhism is that peace is not static. It is not something that, once attained, remains forever unchanged. Peace is dynamic, it must be nurtured and protected continuously. Just as a garden must be tended to prevent weeds from growing, our inner peace must be safeguarded from unnecessary external influences. This means being mindful of who we share our experiences with, recognizing that not everyone will respond in a way that supports our well-being. There is a practical way to apply this wisdom in daily life. Before sharing feelings of peace, joy, or spiritual realization, we can ask ourselves, will this add to my peace or invite unnecessary energy? If the answer is that sharing might invite doubt, skepticism, or comparison, then it may be best to keep the experience private. This does not mean suppressing our joy but rather honoring it by keeping it in a space where it can remain untouched by external disturbances. Another way to preserve inner peace is to express it through action rather than words. Instead of talking about how peaceful we feel, we can let our peace be seen in our behavior, in our patience, in our kindness, and in the way we respond to life's challenges. True peace does not need to be declared. It reveals itself naturally. When we embody peace, others can sense it, not because we have told them, but because they can see it in the way we live. This is why some of the most peaceful people are also the most silent. They understand that words can never fully capture the depth of inner peace. Words can describe an experience, but they can never be the experience itself. The moment something is spoken, it is filtered through interpretation, shaped by perception, and affected by the listener's mindset. True peace, however, exists beyond words. It is something that can only be known through direct experience. The practice of noble silence, Ariyat Tunibhava, in Buddhism reflects this understanding. It is not silence for the sake of silence, but silence as a form of wisdom. It is the recognition that not everything needs to be spoken, and that sometimes, the most profound truths are best left unspoken. Silence allows us to deepen our connection with our inner world, to experience our peace without interference, and to develop the strength to remain unaffected by external opinions. Another crucial aspect of this teaching is that not all silence is equal. There is a difference between silence that comes from wisdom and silence that comes from fear. Silence that comes from wisdom is intentional, protective, and empowering. It is the silence of someone who knows their truth and does not need validation. Silence that comes from fear, on the other hand, is hesitant, uncertain, and restrictive. It is the silence of someone who feels they cannot speak their truth. The key is to cultivate a silence that empowers rather than diminishes. Ultimately, the decision of when to speak and when to remain silent is a matter of awareness. Every moment presents an opportunity to practice mindfulness in speech. We can choose to speak only when our words will enhance peace, both for ourselves and for others. If speaking invites unnecessary complexity, if it risks disturbing the delicate balance of our inner world, then it may be better left unsaid. This is not repression, it is wisdom in action. By embracing this wisdom, we cultivate a deeper sense of inner stability. We learn to protect what is sacred within us, to navigate interactions with discernment, and to experience our peace without the need for external approval. When we recognize that our inner state is not something that needs to be explained or justified, we free ourselves from the burden of external expectations. Peace, after all, is not something that is meant to be proven. It is something that is meant to be lived. Words have the power to create or destroy, to liberate or bind, to heal or harm. The Buddha once said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." This is a simple yet profound truth. Our minds generate thousands of thoughts each day, some positive, some negative. Thoughts themselves are not the issue. But when negative thoughts are spoken, they become energy that shapes our reality. Buddhism teaches that words have the power to plant the seeds of karma. And once spoken, they can shape our lives in ways we may not anticipate. The law of karma in Buddhism states that whatever we put into the world will return to us. When we speak negative words, complaints, grievances, or criticisms, we not only harm others but also ourselves. Every word has an impact, Whether we realize it or not, every time we repeat negative thoughts aloud, we reinforce them in our minds, making them stronger and more persistent. A single complaint, a bitter remark, or an ongoing grievance fuels dissatisfaction, creating an endless cycle of negativity. There is a well-known Buddhist story about a man who always carried a bag of salt. Whenever he encountered hardship, he would take a handful of salt, dissolve it into a glass of water, and drink it. The water always tasted unbearably bitter. One day, a monk instructed him to take the same amount of salt and throw it into a vast lake. This time, when he drank the water, it remained fresh and pure. The monk then said, "Your suffering is like this salt. If your mind is small, suffering will overwhelm you. But if you expand your awareness, suffering loses its power." This story teaches a crucial lesson. We cannot avoid hardships, but how we perceive and speak about them determines their impact on our lives. Speaking negatively without mindfulness does not just weaken us, it also affects those around us. When we constantly complain about life, work, or relationships, those who hear us absorb that negativity. A single complaint can quickly turn into an entire conversation filled with negativity, darkening the atmosphere for everyone involved. On the other hand, if we choose words that uplift, encourage, and inspire, we can create a positive cycle where both our own thoughts and the energy of those around us improve. This does not mean we should ignore or suppress real problems that need to be addressed. Buddhism does not teach us to deny reality or avoid difficulties. However, there is a significant difference between speaking about a problem to seek a solution and repeating negative words that serve no purpose other than to spread misery. When we talk about our struggles with mindfulness, we can use our words to create change rather than reinforce suffering. The next time someone feels the urge to complain, instead of simply expressing dissatisfaction, they can ask themselves, "Am I reinforcing negativity? Or am I seeking a solution?" This small shift in mindset can make a profound difference in how we view the world. Another essential aspect to consider is how our words influence our karma. In the Noble Eightfold Path, right speech, samavaka, is one of the most fundamental principles. Right speech is not just about telling the truth. It is about speaking in ways that are beneficial, avoiding words that cause harm, and being mindful of how our speech affects others. When we speak negative words without thinking, we unknowingly create negative karma, which can lead to more unfortunate circumstances in the future. But when we carefully choose our words, speaking only what is necessary and valuable, we can transform our reality in a more positive direction. One of the most effective ways to practice right speech is to observe our own speech habits. Asking ourselves a few simple questions before speaking can help us control our words. 1. Is what I am about to say truly necessary? 2. Will it bring benefit? 3. Will it harm anyone? 4. Does it help me or others find a solution? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then perhaps silence is the wiser choice. Beyond negative speech, another crucial aspect to consider is the tendency to overshare personal weaknesses. Buddhism teaches that compassion should be boundless, but trust should be earned. Not everyone has good intentions, and not everyone deserves to hear our struggles. A story from the Jataka tales tells of a small bird that befriended a snake. The bird trusted the snake and shared its deepest fear that one day, a storm would come and destroy its nest. The snake listened with apparent sympathy. However, one day, while the bird was away, the snake destroyed the nest itself. When the bird returned and saw the wreckage, the snake pretended to mourn, but in reality, it had enjoyed seeing the bird suffer. This story serves as a powerful reminder that not everyone who listens to us truly cares. Some people listen only to gather information, while others may use our vulnerabilities for their own advantage. Before sharing personal struggles, we should ask ourselves, 1. Does this person truly care about my well-being? 2. Have they demonstrated trustworthiness through their actions? 3. Am I sharing to seek real support, or just to receive temporary sympathy? Being selective about whom we trust is a sign of wisdom. Sharing private struggles with the wrong person can lead to unnecessary suffering. Buddhism teaches that wisdom lies in sharing only with those who have true compassion and will treat our words with care. Finally, one of the deepest teachings in Buddhism is that true kindness does not seek recognition. When we perform good deeds, for the sake of praise or to appear virtuous, our compassion is no longer pure. There is a story about a wealthy man who only donated money when there was an audience to witness his generosity, while an elderly woman quietly gave away her last coin to a hungry child without anyone noticing. The Buddha asked his disciples, which act has greater merit? Some assumed that the larger donation was more valuable. But the Buddha explained, the woman gave with a pure heart, expecting nothing in return. That is the highest form of generosity. We do not need others to see our kindness for it to have value. When we give without expecting recognition, we truly practice selfless compassion. This is the ultimate release from the ego, and the path to genuine peace. Now that we've explored these 5 essential things that should remain unspoken, ask yourself, what would change if you became more mindful of your words starting today? Imagine how much more peaceful your life could be if you stopped allowing external opinions to dictate your emotions. Imagine how much more powerful your goals could become if you nurtured them in silence, letting them grow without interference. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you stopped giving negativity a voice, choosing instead to focus on words that uplift and empower. Buddhism teaches that silence is not emptiness, it is wisdom. Every word we speak carries energy. Some words create doubt, while others strengthen confidence. Some words bring peace, while others invite chaos. The true mastery of life is not just about knowing when to speak, but more importantly, knowing when to remain silent. Think about the lessons from today's video. The monk who learned that inner peace is not something to be explained, but something to be lived. The man who realized that his suffering was like salt in water. It could overwhelm him or dissolve, depending on the vastness of his mind. The bird that trusted the wrong confidant and suffered the consequences. The wealthy man who gave to impress others, while the old woman gave with sincerity, earning greater merit in the eyes of the universe. Each of these stories carries a timeless lesson. That wisdom lies not in sharing everything, but in knowing what to keep within. The next time you find yourself tempted to share something deeply personal, whether it's your inner peace, your struggles, your plans, or your generosity, pause and ask yourself, 1. Am I sharing this for the right reasons? 2. Will speaking about this add value to my life? Or will it invite unnecessary energy? If you're unsure, perhaps silence is the better choice. Let your actions speak louder than words. Let your peace radiate without explanation. Let your kindness exist without expectation. This is the essence of mindful living. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 things resonated with you the most? Have you ever experienced a situation where keeping something private worked out for the best? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I personally read through them and appreciate the wisdom this community brings. If you found this video insightful, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Buddhist Echoes so we can continue spreading mindfulness and wisdom to more people. Your support helps keep this channel going and allows us to create meaningful content that can truly make a difference. And remember, true wisdom is not just about knowing, it's about practicing. Starting today, be mindful of your words, protect your energy, and cultivate a life of peace, clarity, and wisdom. Until next time, stay mindful, stay kind, and may your journey be filled with serenity and enlightenment.